The History of Communism from 1848 to 1940. A documentary by Rebecca Mead, Brittany Harper, and Victoria Woods. Narration by Rebecca Mead. Visualize a world where everyone has equal amounts of wealth. Everyone has equal amounts of land, equal-sized houses, the same government-issued cars, stoves, cell phones, etc. Although people do different jobs, they all get paid the same. Since everyone is equal, there is no social classes. In fact, there isn't even a need for money. The world portrayed here is a communist society. In simple terms, communism is a society in which private property and social class do not exist, and the government owns all things necessary to make and transport products. The history of communism began with a man who is known as the father of communism, named Karl Marx. Karl Marx was born in Prussia in 1818. He was famous for his socialist theories and writings that got him expelled from countries like Germany and France. In 1848, he wrote his most famous piece with Friedrich Engels called the Communist Manifesto. This caused both of them to be exiled to London, where Karl Marx would spend the rest of his life. The Manifesto was a political pamphlet that soon became one of the world's most influential political transcripts. The main idea behind the pamphlet was the problems of capitalism and how it would eventually be replaced by socialism and then finally communism. Marx described a communist government as having the following aspects: no private property, a single central bank, high income tax that would rise significantly as you made more money, all property rights would be confiscated, no inheritance rights, the government would own and control all communication, transportation, education, factories, and agriculture, and the government would tightly control labor. Little did Marx know, his manifesto created a new world of political understanding that would soon spread across parts of the world. In the years following the split of the First and Second International, socialists in Europe concentrated their energy on national political parties. The first initiatives came from the most radical nationality in the world, the Germans. The first effective Social Democratic Party was founded in Germany in 1875, but its activities were severely curtailed by an anti-socialist law introduced by Bismarck in 1878. By 1880, these political parties were in the Netherlands, Denmark, France, and Spain. By 1889, these parties had been joined by others in Britain, Belgium, Norway, Switzerland, Austria, and Sweden. A majority of these parties took the approach that Karl Marx created almost 50 years before. Russia became one of the first countries to completely adapt to communist philosophy. In 1917, the Bolsheviks seized power through the October Revolution. The Bolsheviks were a group of Russian social democratic workers who led by Vladimir Lenin. The group originated at the party's second Congress in 1903. Vladimir Lenin launched a bloodless coup against the provisional Russian government. Lenin soon became the virtual dictator of the first Marxist state in the world. His government made peace with Germany, nationalized industry and land, and built a new political system for the country. The USSR communist timeline was just the beginning of the spread of communism, but was the most influential and successful attempts. Countries like China, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Cuba, and Germany followed and were soon under communist rule. Communism has played a big part in the history of our world. It's important to realize that many important events in history occurred due to communism. Some of the most popular would be the Chinese Revolution in 1949 that put the communist power in the most populous nation on earth. Also, the Cold War, which was waged by the USSR to undermine the West and establish communism worldwide. Not to mention the damaging effects that Germany and most of Europe underwent during World War I and World War II. China, Cuba, Laos, North Korea, and Vietnam are all countries that still are under communist rule today. Communism creates a society where everything is owned and controlled by the government. Karl Marx's creation manifested into the governments of most European countries. The Russians were the first country to completely adapt this concept. Communism has influenced and impacted the world in a vast way. World revolution has been so powerfully stimulated and accelerated by the horrors, vileness, and the scandals of communism. The battle between communists and non-communists was developed by this revolution. In today's world, we have all seen the results of communism. China and Russia, once great and powerful nations, tried to convert into communism, and slowly their positive results began to fall.